Call to order, University Community Redevelopment Agency Board meeting Tuesday, February 13th, 2024.
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll, please.
Chairman John Eric Hoover,
Here.
Vice Chairwoman Linda Rodriguez,
Here.
Member Tom Kinsella,
Here.
Member Cherokee Sampson, here. Member David Mueller. Let the record show that Member David Mueller is absent from tonight's meeting. City Attorney Nancy Meyer, here. City Manager Matthew Koppler.
Here. Thank you. First up is comments from the general public. I have no signups. Is there anybody like to speak? Show of hands. Minutes. Oh, it's not on my agenda. Sorry.
Nope.
Yeah. The minutes are in the attachment, but it's not on the cover page.
That's my fault.
So my fault. Yeah, so we're gonna approve that. Motion to approve.
We're getting through it.
All I have to do is put the notes on here.
I got a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion second for discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we move to comments from the general public. Everybody raise your hand. Moving right along, comments from our city manager.
I have two. I have the first thing that I just handed out to everyone real quick. Basically the same update on the Cody River Landing Water Main and Restoration Project. Just understand that because we're taking money from different buckets, one of the bucket is CRA, and so that will be coming here as well for approval. The other part is I received the inquiries from two members of the board regarding the residential grant program. The question that was raised concerned the elimination of the matching requirements for eligibility. For the latest round of grants, there were two different requirements for funding depending upon the income thresholds of the applicant. For those above the threshold, they would have 50% matching requirement up to the maximum grant. In the latest version of the grant program, the matching requirement was removed. In reviewing the discussion on this at 8/8/23, so August 8th, 23, board discussed changes to the program, but it doesn't appear that that removal of the matching provision was discussed. The question is that something that you want to take up in the next meeting and discuss whether you want to have that removed, or was it your intent, we don't have to discuss it, to have that provision removed?
So I can tell you, my understanding was is that in the previous handbook, you had to, in order to get the grant, whether you were below the poverty line or above the poverty line, you had to submit your financial records. And so the intent, my understanding was, is that there's no reason for somebody coming in for the 50% match to show financial records to show that they can get that, because everybody can get that if they're above the poverty line. So you don't need to show, you don't need to prove you're above the poverty line. We just take your word for it. You have to prove that you're below the poverty line to get the full 100% match. So, but what changed in the handbook, obviously, as a result of that is that basically everybody below the poverty line or above the poverty line gets $5,000 dollar for dollar. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So before, you had to spend, in order to get $5,000, you had to spend $10,000
Right.
if you were above the poverty line. Now, the way the handbook is it doesn't matter where you're at, you get $5,000 if you spend $5,000.
And 35,000 is, I apologize. 35,000 is the number, correct?
The budget?
No. The threshold for Mike's.
Oh, what the poverty line is?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, like,
Well, it was going to be dependent upon, the number of people in the household. So it would be a different number
Yeah.
depending upon how many people were in the household.
And of course, that changes, I think, every year too, right? With it.
the discussion, from what I recall, was, first of all, not a lot of people are using it. The goal of the grant program is to improve the homes that need to be improved. We discussed using it, and then if we get to the point where, oh my God, everybody's using it, then adjusting it for the next year as to do it. I think we need to use this as the impetus to have people use the grant program to improve their homes. Because we don't want the slum and the blight. We want them to fix their doors and their windows and their gutters and all the things that the soffits and the fascia and the roofs and the things that need to be fixed on their house. And if they're making $5,000 over the poverty line, do we really want to stop them from doing a $14,000 roof I had to pay? Yeah, they might not be able to afford that if they're making $40,000.
And
That we were just using a $35,000 as a number,
Right.
but you understand what I'm trying to say.
no, and I think that the idea that just we don't put any limits there is great. For me, it'd be great to go out and just spend $5,000 and get $5,000, right? But I guess the thing we need to be careful of is obviously the reason that was there is that we've got what 50,000 I think we budgeted for that.
Residential.
So 50,000 for residential. So if people who are well off living out in well, we took out some areas obviously, but the people that are well off and living in what's still considered CRA boundary that have the financial resource to do that, they'll suck up that $5,000 quick, and that takes away from that 50,000 we've allocated that maybe some of the people that are under the poverty line they
And I
don't take
agree.
advantage of.
And I think we need to adjust that the following year. I think we need to use the program. How much did we use last year, Rachel?
Not much at all.
$1,000, $2,000?
Maybe.
No, because I got,
only
how much?
1,000 or 2,000.
Yeah, what was the max last year?
The amount that we allocated?
Yeah.
I would say it was 25.
25,000, I think. Yeah.
2,500.
Yeah.
No, 25,000.
Oh, you mean allocated, but no, but what did we, what did,
Like 2,000.
Yeah.
Only 2 applicants.
yeah, and I was one of them. So we need to push the program so that, and I mean, that was on my $14,000 roof that I had to pay cash for.
Yeah,
So
no,
it's not,
I think for the people that are above the poverty line, it's going to be a great benefit. But I wasn't sure that was the intent. So.
well, this is for all residents. So
Agreed.
let's get it out there, get the program going, and when they find out that, the $500,000 home got it and I didn't, then they'll apply for it and they'll do it as well.
Yeah.
And then we can apply the safety guards at that point.
Yeah, and also another thing, we went from 1,000 to 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason that 1,000 was not a lot, maybe
And it's
some
every
people didn't
year now,
bother with
right?
it.
We changed it to every year, or is it still every 2
Did
years?
every year, I think.
Every 2 years.
It was every 2 years. I thought we changed it to every
Yeah, I
year.
think we changed.
It's 2 years? Okay.
I specifically remember the other, but maybe not.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought we made it every year
I
as
did
well,
too.
too.
The manual says every 2 years.
Well, manually we saved her too, but check that because I thought we.
I thought we
Relax
did.
it.
I thought we voted one as well, Eric.
Yeah.
I think you're right. So
Yes,
can we check that? Can we check
Sure.
the minutes, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You have to like to check. I guess the council may want to discuss it. But I'm pretty sure we discussed that quite a bit. I thought. So with go from 1,000 to 5,000, that becomes a significant help, right? So
Yep.
and I'm okay with I just don't want to. What I hate to see is we have a bunch of people online that use up the money, and then people that really need it, there's nothing there.
Well,
So-
I think also, in speaking with Veronica in the past, I've not spoken to her about this recently, but when the building officials go out there and see the slum and blight and the areas that need help, that they are offering the program to them and telling them about it. So I think that's also another avenue we can use, because when we run out of money, we run out of money. So the people that you're talking about won't get it, but, they already know the houses that need help. And if we reach out to them and say, this is available to you for those places to use the funds, I think that's another great, the building officials are driving around the city every day. And I think to utilize them and to say this is available, use it, is a really good idea.
Okay, well, it probably kickstart the program. It'll kickstart the program.
Absolutely, I think that's what we want.
So, I agree. I think we need to spend that money. We shouldn't just put it on the budget, people not use it. It concerns me that the wrong people will get to use it. So that's one concern. Not that it's a bad thing because they need to fix stuff up as well, but,
Well, they would still be able to use it. It's just there wouldn't be a requirement for a matching to get the $5,000.
right, they're getting dollar for dollar as opposed to dollar for $2 they spend. So, and it's the idea, if you have financial resources, you need less and less government assistance. So, anyway, thank you.
I just wanted to make sure. Like I said, I had 2 inquiries about it, and in reviewing the minutes from the August 8th meeting, that piece, didn't get into the minutes if it was discussed. So, okay.
Thank you. Comments from the board? Anybody like to speak? Okay, moving on to our agenda, we have item number 1, approval of resolution number 24-03, refund Pasco County fiscal year 2024 CRA overpayment. I'll pass it to Mr. Cobbler for introduction.
The CRA passed resolution 2402 on January 23rd, 2024 to refund Pasco County's overpayment to the CRA. However, due to Pasco County adopting the lower millage rate than the prior year, the city would need to refund an additional $3,845.95.
CRA Resolution Number 24-03, a resolution of the Port Richey Community Redevelopment Agency providing a refund from the Community Redevelopment Trust Fund to Pasco County, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve the resolution number 24-03, refund to Pasco County.
Motion second, further discussion? Anyone from the public like to comment? See what has to put a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And last item, number 2, solicitation for the lease of vacant land. I'll pass it to Mr. Cobbler for introduction.
Yes, thank you. So council may, or the board may remember that city was approached by Whiskey Joe's inquiring about 2 parcels of land that we owned relatively close to their restaurant. They were seeking to potentially purchase and or lease that property for overflow parking. They had lost their parking agreement for overflow parking and needed additional. In review, as you might remember, we found out that CRA money actually purchased these 2 parcels. And under the state statute, if the CRA wishes to lease and or sell, it has to go through a public bid process. So we put together a draft of what that RFP will look like, as well as proposal form, so you can see it and decide if you want to take the next step, which is to put this out to a solicitation to see if there are any interested individuals that meet the qualifications to put in overflow parking in that area on those 2 parcels. Obviously, we don't know until we put the bid out, what they're willing to do or what they're willing to offer for that, because if we did that, it would be outside of the public bid process and not be appropriate.
I'm not in favor of selling them or leasing them to a specific business. We have a project going on down there now. We don't know, phase 3, where we're going with that. And on top of that, we have another, another project in the outskirts that is potentially looking at going down there. Selling that piece of land is obviously it's in the waterfront district, so it's very valuable. I'm not opposed to making, and the past Whiskey River has not allowed, when they were across from Gildogs looking for a cough drop, not allowed parking by any of the people except if you were going there. Why don't we just run it as a parking lot for the whole area, not just a specific business? Whiskey River can, Whiskey Joe's can access it and use it, just like every other business down there. I'm not opposed to making it parking until we figure out what we're going to do. I just think selling it outright, thank you, I have one, thank you, is a mistake on our part.
Let me just add that we are not recommending the city sell that property.
Yeah, just lease.
Because of a lot of what you said is there could be a potential for a big change down there. We don't want to give away our ability to help, with that type of development. So we would only be recommending that it be leased under a short-term agreement.
But then we're limiting it only to them using it, and then the other businesses cannot.
Yes, that would be correct.
So, and I think that's an injustice to the, it's a small area, it's an injustice to everybody. Everybody's looking for parking. So I think that's an injustice to everybody.
And the alternative to that is that it sits there and it does no financial benefit to the city. So it's just sitting there. Why don't we lease it to? And I get your point. If it's a parking lot, say for whoever, and it wouldn't be. It's a bid process, so obviously it may not be Whiskey River. Maybe the top bidder comes out, catches, or whoever bids on this that they want to lease it. The idea behind it is it's an asset that it's a non-performing. We convert it to a performing asset. It's under a short-term agreement. So if we do want to change the use of that, and we terminate the lease, the parking goes away. It gets parking. You just get in your car, you move it. So it's not like they're building anything there. I see no reason why we don't use our assets to bring in income so that we can do more stuff, whether it be pay employees. I mean, of course, it's CRA, but obviously we need to bring in more money. More money we bring in CRA, more benefit we give to the grant program. I mean, there's nothing wrong with making a profit on your assets. So, especially something as this is the best case scenario to actually generate income is dirt, right? You turn it into parking, and you just not much you need to do to it. Absolutely.
I just want to add to the conversation that your current plan for your CRA is very, very heavy in parking. It promotes parking, increase parking, make parking better. So this is very much in line with the goals that were set when your plan was adopted, just so you know that.
At least until Thursday, I guess.
Right, at least I know it's going through a process now, so that might change, but just at this point, this is very much in line with the plan for the city, for the CRA.
And there's no term of lease on here that you guys are thinking about, was it? Month to month type thing?
Again, it's part of the bid process. They would have to submit to us what they were looking for and all that. And then once we have that, there could be, a discussion about what we would allow for.
So we put out the bid, there is no restrictions on it. It's just we'll lease it.
Yep.
Okay. And again, I don't think we want to get ourselves into a long-term lease without the ability to break that, because depending on what happens down there, we may need to get them out of there quick. So, but again, it's sitting there. We own it. We've got $350,000 wrapped up in it. Does that include the demos, or that just?
I do not believe that includes the demo.
Yeah, so
I just looked at what's purchased.
Yeah, let's say we probably got $500,000 wrapped up in that. Let's start recouping some of that income through parking until we need it, as opposed to just sitting there. I mean, it's a no-brainer to me.
I agree, it needs to be parking. I just don't know if it should be for one specific business. That's my problem.
Well, the highest bidder is what it boils down to, right?
It's actually not the highest bidder under this. You can look at, it may be, but you look at what's best for the CRA's goals. So their proposals with your objectives doesn't always have to be the highest bidder on these.
No, I think we need parking. Don't get me wrong. I'm for parking.
Well, another option, we could convert it to parking and start charging.
That's what I was getting ready to say. What if we turn it into public parking and then charge for?
But then you've got the city basically putting money in to approve it, right? And we had to figure out some way to administrate.
The CRA would be spending the money.
Right. And also there's better avenues of CRA money than to build a parking lot that may not be a parking lot in a year. So, I get that. As long as it's not sitting there and we're generating income from it, then I think I'm open to conversation. But it makes probably more sense to open up for bid as opposed to us trying to do something, because then we got to staff it. We got to figure out how to get the money in. Same thing we're gonna have with the ramp or whatever. So there's infrastructure that we'd have to put into that in order to get that. Whereas we lease it out to whoever we end up picking. It's just
Well, if we pick somebody, I mean, you can put it out for bid and we can pick nobody, right?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, so put out the bid.
Is there a way for us to have multiple businesses? Or like maybe they can come to an agreement that they all use the property and all pay CRA.
They probably get together and bid together, I guess, right? Or-
I mean, they could, or one entity could bid and have that agreement separately. I mean, I think at this point, it's just a question, do you want to see who's interested and what they're interested in?
That doesn't mean that we have to,
Right.
just because we put a for lease on it, doesn't mean we have to lease it to somebody.
Right.
We can say, well, yeah, that was a good idea, but no.
And in reality, as far as the parking for, let's say Whiskey Joe's is the one that ends up getting it. And your argument is that, well, you go down there, you want to park there to go check out the dolphins, right?
Mhm.
You can't do it because you're not going Whiskey Joe's. Well, the reality is you're probably going to have, it's overflow parking from then, so they're probably not going to be too worried about it. I would say they may end up charging themselves.
So when they tow my car, I'll send you the bill.
Yeah, So, but again, I don't know.
You know?
But the reality is as it is right now, nobody parks there anyway.
Right? No, I understand that. I mean, Whiskey Joe's was put there with no parking, with the caveat that they could park in the other place. That was approved by previous council.
Mm-hmm.
Why that was approved, beyond me, thought it was a horrible idea at the start. So, but
Thankful to have
it
business
is what
here,
it is, huh?
I'd be first to say I'm thankful to have that business here. I think they put us on the map. People come here, so it's
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, put a restaurant with 12 parking spots is really pretty silly.
Yeah.
So, but that's hindsight's 2020. Okay, move on. Parking, we need parking. Absolutely agree with it. We'll put it out there and see what happens.
Yeah. Let's see if we get bids. See what happens.
Or you'll get bids, but see what they are.
Only thing, yeah, I totally agreed. Let's put it out for bids. And no doubt our lawyer and city manager thought about this again. The maintenance piece of it, who's going to be responsible, and
The leaseor, right?
That could be part of the agreement. Like, assume you get a bid that you accept, you then will have a contract or an agreement with them, and you can put that on them as part of the agreement.
yes, and the liability piece of it.
We can put it all on them.
Yeah.
If they
All of
agree to
that.
it, if they
I
don't,
mean,
then they'll fall apart.
And I can, and I'm sorry to interrupt, I can write within the announcement that provision that, whoever the successful bidder is would be responsible for, providing insurance, providing maintenance of the lot. And the proposal form gets into a little bit of that, I think, because it asks them to give certain information, but I can be even more specific in the proposal and put that in there. Yeah, I think being more specific will let them know that we're just not giving the land. There's some responsibility for it too. I have no problem with it. I like the idea.
I'll also throw this out, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, if this is something that's doable, whatever, but there are public partner joint venture type things, right? So that to solve the part, we'll lease it to you, you maintain it, you do all this, but, we need to, you allow us, our residents, whoever wants
I
to
mean,
park there.
realistically, you're not going to go to Hooters and park over there. I mean, it's just not going to happen. But I just want people to have the flexibility
Yeah,
to.
I think there's ways we can accomplish the goal, as we talk about.
Yeah.
So let's put, motion, somebody, motion?
Motion to approve the solicitation for lease of vacant land.
Second.
I have a motion, a very hesitant but enthusiastic
No, we
second.
were staring at each other, we were gonna see who was gonna do it first, that's what we were doing.
I'm glad you want to. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Anyone in public like to comment? See no hands up, please vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And last up is our discussion of old business. Any discussions around what we have on the old business? Seeing none, looking for a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion second, all in favor, signify